Imagine a lighthouse on a rock in the middle of the ocean, 20 miles from the nearest land. No one lives there. No one can reach you for weeks if the weather turns. Your only job is to keep the light burning. Now imagine arriving to relieve 3 men stationed there and finding the lighthouse empty. The light is dark. The beds are unmade. A clock has stopped. One coat still hangs on its hook. The kitchen has been cleaned up, the dishes washed, the meal finished, and all 3 men are gone. No note, no struggle, no bodies. Just an empty lighthouse on an empty rock in the middle of the Atlantic. This is the Flannan Isles mystery, and almost everything you've heard about it is wrong. The Flannan Isles are a small cluster of uninhabited rocks, about 32 kilometers, 20 miles, west of the Isle of Lewis in Scotland's Outer Hebrides. The largest is Eilean Mòr, which means simply Big Island. It's barely more than a cliff rising out of the Atlantic. The lighthouse on Eilean Mòr was completed in 1899 after 4 years of difficult construction. The rock was so remote and the seas so treacherous that workers could only access the island during brief, calm windows. During construction, several workers died. The lighthouse was first lit on December 7, 1899.
It was designed to run with a crew of 3 keepers, plus a rotating 4th man who spent his time on shore. The keepers served 6-week rotations. The nearest settlement was Briskleet on Lewis, where the shore station was located and where supply vessels departed. The Northern Lighthouse Board, which operated all lighthouses in Scotland, had strict rules. One rule above all: never leave the lighthouse completely unattended. At least 1 keeper had to remain inside at all times. In December 1900, 3 men were stationed on Eilean Mòr. James Ducat was the principal keeper. He was 43 years old, experienced and a family man. He left behind a wife and 4 children. He had been with the Northern Lighthouse Board for years and was regarded as reliable and steady. Thomas Marshall was the second assistant. He was 28 years old. He had been a lighthouse keeper for several years and was known as a capable seaman. Donald MacArthur was an occasional keeper, filling in for the regular 4th man. He was a married man with a wife and 2 children. He was known as experienced, but by some accounts had a temper. The 4th keeper, Joseph Moore, was on shore leave when the disappearance occurred. He had visited the men on December 8th and reported them in good spirits, healthy, and attending to their duties. The routine of a lighthouse keeper was monotonous but demanding. Trim the wicks, clean the lenses, maintain the machinery, log the weather, signal passing ships. In a 6-week rotation, the same tasks, day after day, on a rock in the ocean.
The last genuine log entry was made on December 15, 1900. It noted that routine tasks had been completed. Around midnight that night, the steamer Arctur, sailing from Philadelphia to Leith, passed the Flannan Isles. The light was dark. When the Arctur docked at Leith on December 18th, the report was passed to the Northern Lighthouse Board. But the relief vessel, the Hesperus, couldn't sail on December 20 as planned. The weather was too severe. It didn't reach Eilean Mòr until noon on December 26th. When the Hesperus arrived, Captain Jim Harvey immediately noticed something wrong. There was no flag on the flagpole. No provision boxes had been left at the landing stage, and no one came out to greet them. He sounded the ship's horn. He lit flares. Nothing. Joseph Moore, the relief keeper who had served with these men, was the first to go ashore. He climbed the steep path to the lighthouse. The entrance gate was locked.
The kitchen door was slightly open. He went inside. The kitchen fire had not been lit for several days. The beds were unmade. A clock had stopped. One of the keeper's oilskins, their waterproof coat, was still hanging on its hook. Mòr noted that 2 of the men had put on their sea boots and coats, but MacArthur had apparently left in his shirt sleeves without his coat. Mòr searched the lighthouse, then the entire island. There was no sign of any of the 3 men, neither inside the lighthouse nor anywhere on the rock.
Captain Harvey sent a telegram to the Northern Lighthouse Board on December 26th. It read, "A dreadful accident has happened at the Flannans. The 3 keepers, Ducat, Marshall, and the Occasional, have disappeared from the island. The clocks were stopped, and other signs indicated that the accident must have happened about a week ago. Poor fellows, they must have been blown over the cliffs or drowned trying to secure a crane." This is where the story gets hijacked. You've probably heard about the logbook, the one that described Marshall writing on December 12th about severe winds, the likes of which he had never seen in 20 years. The one that said Ducat had been very quiet and MacArthur had been crying. The one that claimed on December 13 that all 3 men were praying. And the final entry on December 15, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." None of it is real. An investigation by Mike Dash, published in Fortean Times, proved that these dramatic logbook entries were fabricated. They were later inventions, added to the story years after the fact, by unknown authors who wanted to make the mystery more dramatic. There were, in fact, no reported storms in the area on December 12th, 13, or 14. And then there's the poem. In 1912, 12 years after the disappearance, the poet Wilfred Wilson Gibson published Flannan Isle, a ballad that described the relief party finding an overturned chair and a meal of meat, cheese, and bread laid out on the table untouched, as if the men had been interrupted mid-supper. But Joseph Mòr, the man who was actually first through the door, wrote that the kitchen dishes were cleaned and put away. The meal was finished. The kitchen was tidy. Whatever happened, the men did not leave mid-bite in a panic. The poem was so evocative, so compelling, that its invented details became part of the official legend. Just like Conan Doyle's fiction had corrupted the Mary Celeste story, Gibson's poem corrupted the Flannan Isles. The truth doesn't need embellishment. The truth is strange enough.
On December 29, 1900, Robert Muirhead, the Northern Lighthouse Board superintendent, arrived on Eilean Mòr to conduct the official investigation. Muirhead had personally recruited all 3 missing men. He knew them. He examined the evidence. The eastern landing stage was intact, but the western landing stage had been badly damaged by recent storms. Iron railings were bent. Equipment had been scattered. A box containing mooring ropes and landing ropes, which had been secured in a crevice in the rock about 110 feet, 34 meters above sea level, had been torn from its housing. Muirhead examined the clothing left behind. He concluded that Ducat and Marshall had gone down to the western landing stage, and that MacArthur had left the lighthouse in heavy rain in his shirt sleeves, presumably to join them or to warn them. He noted that whoever left the lighthouse last, leaving the light unattended, was in breach of Northern Lighthouse Board rules. All 3 keepers should never have been outside at the same time. Muirhead's conclusion? From evidence which I was able to procure, I was satisfied that the men had been on duty up until dinner time on Saturday, the 15th of December, that they had gone down to secure a box in which the mooring ropes were kept, and that an extra-large sea had rushed up the face of the rock, had gone above them, and coming down with immense force had swept them completely away. A rogue wave, a wall of water that rose 110 feet above the sea and pulled 3 experienced men off a cliff. But there are problems with this theory. If a wave was large enough to sweep men off the western landing, why was the eastern landing stage undamaged? If the wave was that powerful, why wasn't the lighthouse itself damaged?
And why did all three keepers leave the lighthouse at the same time, something they were explicitly trained never to do? Some have suggested that MacArthur, the occasional keeper with a temper, may have been involved in a confrontation. Others have proposed that one of the men fell and the others rushed out to help without putting on their coats, and all three were swept away. The lack of bodies, even decades later, only deepened the mystery.
No bodies were ever found. The lighthouse was repaired and returned to service. It was manned for another 70 years until it was automated in 1971. The Flannan Isles are uninhabited again, as they have been for most of their history. The lighthouse still stands on Eilean Mòr, automatic now, its light turning in the dark over an empty rock. James Duckett, 43, principal keeper, husband, father of 4. Thomas Marshall, 28, second assistant. Donald MacArthur, occasional keeper, husband, father of 2. 3 men on a rock in the ocean. 3 men who went to work one morning in December 1900 and were never seen again. This has been Dark Hour. If this story left you with more questions than answers, subscribe, because next week we go even deeper.